What's going on, everybody? This is Shoot, and I'm Jordan.
I'm Kevon.
And this is our main guest, our main man. Yo, first of all, I'm going to call this man Superman because he saved the day. Twice. My guy Jason, a lighting genius, prodigy. Going from there, you know what I'm saying? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm feeling pretty good. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course, bro. Of course.
Yeah, I appreciate you gassing me like that.
No, for sure.
It's necessary.
You gotta give everyone their flowers while they're still here. Like I highly and truly believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
So today's episode is gonna, pretty much be based off of stay ready so you don't have to be ready.
Yo, y'all saw that flight that the engine blew up?
Bro.
Yeah, I saw it.
Like a shorty took a picture in her like yard, like where
Where the thing came off at?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Imagine
And being on that plane, it's like,
Bro, you gotta think like I saw this Twitter thread where it's like really interesting where folks were saying like, yes, that's a panicking moment, but shout out to modern technology because if it not been for modern technology.
oh yeah, no. It's legitimately like, and then sometimes when I be thinking about like how planes fly and like the whole autopilot thing, and they only need one engine, this whole thing, I'd be like,
yeah.
I still don't trust it. Part of me still just doesn't trust it.
I mean, that's not the best scenario to land in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like anytime I hear, even like when the plane takes off and like you hear the wheels like going into the plane, it's like that freaks me out. Like any sound that I hear on the plane.
What if it didn't like go in?
Go all the way in, or what if it stays out, or what if they don't come out? Like,
Right,
like
like
they don't come
just
out.
the smallest, like anytime, like bro, I flew Spirit once in my life, and that was
You're
a month
man.
ago,
You're a lucky man.
and that shit like blew me. I was actually, ironically, I was on a Delta flight, and it flew into a storm, and it made that little sound. Bro, I woke up to a grown man screaming on the plane. And mind you, I had like took like a double shot, and I was like, I'm gonna pass out on the plane. I woke up to people screaming. I said, I'm gonna just pass out again. And I literally did, and I woke up again, and shit was straight. I was like, yo, thank God.
Thank God I can go back to. I can't sleep on planes.
My man said, if I die, I'm gonna die not knowing I died.
Exactly.
Bro, I was like, I don't want to be awake for that. Like,
Like, why would you want to be? It's like,
Boy, you gonna wake up in one instant and you gonna have a heart attack like no other heart attack you ever had before.
You know what? And that's
when that shit hit.
I'm like, yo.
That's the only reason why I don't fall asleep, because I'm like, I'd rather brace and prepare my heart.
I can't fall asleep. Like, I literally physically can't fall asleep on planes.
I can. I just have to be prepared, like, and comfortable with dying.
It's just.
Essentially.
Y'all seen that Kanye tweet when he was like, I hate falling asleep on a plane and wake up and there's a water bottle and I'm responsible for it.
That's true though.
That's facts. Like, bro,
Facts.
first of all, they give you the Dasani water every time. While we're on the subject, hold on, let me segue into this. Have y'all been flued out for a gig? In terms of that, I mean, like, just having to travel for a gig with a client, had, you know what I'm saying, you had to pay for it. Like, you know your first time you get a gig, negotiating that, how was that for y'all in terms of just like, all right, these are my boundaries, this is what needs to be met, you know? Because sometimes people, the opportunity itself is just like, oh, shoot, I can go where? And some people are like, yeah, I'll pay you when you get here or some stuff like that. So how, in cases where y'all had to travel for shoots, whether it be 30 miles, 10 miles, whatever, how do y'all negotiate that? Or how's that been for y'all?
I haven't been flown out for a gig.
Not even, I'm just talking about just
like
driving,
travel?
just in general.
The only time that I've had to travel is like I had to go to DC for like 2 documentaries. And essentially, as far as negotiation goes, like I was told that I would be paid a half day's rate for travel. They were like, and I was told that was standard. In my head, I was like, but we're gonna be in the car for 9 hours, so I'm not sure how that like computes as a standard, like, you know, like
that's
you know what I'm saying, like if we drove for 2 hours and whatever, and like that was it for that day, then I understand that. But yeah, like I mean that was just I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't really a negotiation. I just reported it as a full day on my invoice. Like I wasn't like.
Did they pay you for the 4 day though?
Yeah, like that wasn't up for debate.
Oh.
You need to be about your money, especially like sometimes it gets very like I say, I don't know. You want to see kind of like where you are with your client as well, like as far as like the rapport that you guys have. To be like, okay, cool. I want to make sure I'm not, of course, asking for too much, but still valuing yourself. Like being like, yo, I need you to book me this flight, or like, cause like the other day, I flew Frontier for the first time.
Oof. Let's talk about that. How was that?
What you mean? I mean,
Spirit or Frontiers. If worst case scenario, Spirit or Frontier.
I'm taking Spirit over Frontier for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you get a free check bag?
No, they gave you a personal item, so you have to still pay for your check bag. That's the thing, because you see like Spirit flights, they're less expensive, but you have to pay for your bag, so it ends up being the same as like Delta.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not just take Delta? Because you at least you'll get stuff with customer service because like,
For sure.
At least you get some peanuts.
It's like they not give you anything on Frontier. They not give you anything on Spirit. They barely even look at your direction. They barely even acknowledge that you're on the flight. Honestly,
shit.
They have no TVs. They have nothing, no pillows, no blankets. They have nothing on.
Yeah, I saw a meme where they're like, you had to land a Spirit or like Frontier flight yourself.
Bro,
I
definitely see the pilot coming back. Hey, you trying to land this?
All right.
But hey, it's definitely not it, bro.
Like, I'm pretty sure I silenced this.
Oh, bro, that's how the iPhones work, bro. That's how they keep going. But no, bro, I be wondering about that, cause like we were talking about negotiating contracts and stuff like that. Like knowing my worth, I'm like, I deserve the Delta flight. Mm-hmm. I understand like your budget may not accommodate that, but in terms of like safety, first of all, people don't put into terms of like camera equipment. And Jason, I always shout you out for this because you put something in terms to me about like just negotiating your day rate properly. Mm-hmm. And actually, can you elaborate on that? But like I'll say it in a second. But like I feel like just in terms like if you're working with a client and you have to travel. If I had to get on a train, I'd get on a train, necessarily if it's not too long of a distance. But at the same time, in terms of flights, you want your person to be safe, their equipment to be safe.
Yeah.
And because like you don't want to get there like shit's malfunction or it's got damage and stuff like that. So like you were talking about like going back to negotiating the day rate. How does that work for you in terms of just like even someone comes to you like we got to shoot for 5 hours. You told me like go ahead and charge them for the full day.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So like, and I can't take full what's the word?
Credit.
Yeah, I can't take full credit for that. Like I said, like I'm blessed to be around like a lot of great people. Working in the industry and whatnot. And I was informed by a DP I was working with, Bruce Lane, that essentially, no matter what, that you can't take any other work for that day. So like
that's true.
You can't take any other work. Yeah. So it's like you have to essentially charge for that, because regardless that you could say like they're only getting X amount of your time, but they're also taking away your time for any other opportunity. And I mean, we've learned that in economics, it's called opportunity cost and things like that. So it's just like you kind of have to chip that in, and things like as far as like you saying like you have to take the train, you have to do things like this. One thing I feel like that we do as freelancers a lot is that we fault ourselves. We fault ourselves for not having like the proper equipment, for not having like the transportation, and all those different things. And it's like the way how businesses run is that it's always going to be margins on top of like what your cost is, because you have to make a profit at the end of the day for you to be operating a business. So it's like if you do have to take a train, regardless, like they're not paying for like you to have a car. They're paying for your mind to operate that situation. Mm-hmm. They're paying for you to know what equipment to bring, what people to have there, all that stuff. They're paying essentially for your on-set consultation and operation. They want you to produce the finished product. So it's like that's why you have to like still chip in those things. So whether you have to take the train, whether you have to like whether you have to factor in your gas, your insurance, things like that, you have to factor in all those things, because those are things that are essentially necessities for you to provide the finished product to them.
Facts,
So that's why it's like, to me, it's like people kind of have an idea of what their time is worth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like I say there's two things in like when you're taking on a project is compensation and there's relations. Mm. So it's like essentially you can be compensation. Essentially, I get paid for my time. This is what I feel like my time is worth. Like this is I'll walk away from this deal if you don't pay that. Relation is essentially like I feel like I have a good standing with this person, and I feel like continuing that will lead to more work and more compensation down the road, or it will lead to referrals to other compensation. Essentially, relation is always going to lead to more compensation. And it's just like it comes to you like in that moment on which like how do you want to like align on that spectrum, and like negotiate your rate. it all goes down to like just like like we work with like a couple clients, and sometimes they might say our budget's a little bit more for this, and it's like we know that there's going to be other projects down the road, so we're going to definitely say like, you know what, we understand, we will allow this, and we've done pro bono projects for people just because like we wanted to expand our portfolio.
Yeah.
And
and see, that's what I wanted to kind of talk to about you, like knowing when to do that, like, because like there's so much potential in any opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Anyone can pop off at any moment. Now we live in a social media age, and like whether you're working with a business, something like that. Like personally, I've worked with different companies. Like, oh, this could be more gigs, and then it may have been 2 more gigs, and then all right, this may not work out. Or sometimes it becomes an actual like you're a paid employee, things like that. So like, how do you use your judgment in those cases? Like I know Kevon, you're in this situation too with different stuff. So how do you use your judgment? Like, all right, I believe in you enough that this is gonna work, and I have the faith that I'm gonna take the leap of faith. I can take a pay cut on my range and then see where it goes. So like, how does that work? How do you use your judgment in that terms of like discerning what to do next?
I really feel like you just have to know your client, really. Like, it's really that relationship, honestly, and it's trusting that, like, okay, they have a plan as far as, like, how they want their businesses to run. So it's like, do you believe in that plan? Do you really think that they can grow and actually, like, do these things they say that they want to do, and, like, and also the relationship that you guys have, and how are you helping them bolster their brand? How are you literally helping? Because the thing is like, you're working on these videos, you're doing these projects with them, but it's to grow. I mean, at the end of the day, it's to grow, to make sure that they look the best way possible, so that they can bring in more money, so that you can bring in more money. So it's like it's a never-ending cycle. So it's like
symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, you can't just like like half-ass something and think that, okay, well, hopefully just by their name, like they'll continue like this relationship, or they'll grow or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's really just like knowing your client and like having faith in like their brands, because like I'll say like there's definitely been a lot of things that I've like turned down because like I don't think this might be a one-time thing, or even like the money may be good this one time, but I don't believe in this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I don't think that this is like worth it for me, because like, cool, hey, someone approaches me, hey, I'll give you $1,500 for a music video, and I listen to your song. No. Like, no. Like, I'm okay.
That's
you know what I mean? And it's like, I already know kind of like what you're trying to do, but it's you just have to be able to have like that gift of discernment, really. It's like really knowing, like, is this really worth it? Because as Jason said, I've done free things because I know for a fact that, hey, this business is going to like blow, because I have the opportunity to showcase my work as well. So it's like, why not?
Facts, yeah. So it's like you said, you're always on the stage and performing. So Jason, did you have anything you want to elaborate on it?
Kevon, me and Kevon have worked together plenty of times, and I think we understand a lot of each other's tendencies, like to the point, like, one thing that he said as far as like, do I believe in this and whatnot. And it ultimately it comes down to you and your personality, and like, the things that you like. And with music videos too, like I don't shoot music videos for a price. I shoot music videos completely free, but I only shoot music videos for people that I like. Because like the biggest reason, honestly, is just earworms. Like, I don't want to listen to trash earworms, and like now I have to listen to like I have to hear your music because you're paying me. Yeah. And essentially, like, it's kind of a fine line of like, when you're in business for yourself, with like freedom versus like you can still be a slave. Like, you're still working for someone always, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wanted to retain, like, I have a love for music. I wanted to retain, the ability to like choose who I work with on that frontier. But
for sure.
Nah, man, it's just, it's a gut feeling of just knowing when to, when you need to curb your prices and whatnot, and it ultimately comes down to like your belief in someone's business. So I think Kevon pretty much knocked that on the head.
For sure, yeah, I related a lot to that, because I think that's too like you saying, just like that relationship with just seeing the potential, and just like, do I believe in this? Like, hitting back on that, because a lot of people, like, especially nowadays, it's like you want to get the bag by any means possible. Like, you may be paying me $3 for the song, I hate it, but I don't think people take into account, like, if you don't really like what you're working on, it's going to reflect in the work in some form. Like, 100%. Like, you have to edit that video. You're going to have to listen to that song.
Ooh, you don't like something, you're like, oh, nah.
You got to replay that song like 100 times.
And then, no.
It's just not even worth and then you're just sitting there like, damn. And then I've taken a gig where I didn't like the service or product that the client was trying to do, and I was like, damn. And then it's when they say they have a complaint about the video, and you're like, word.
It's like, oh yeah, that's honestly that revisions, and like also, and I want Jason to talk about like pricing that out sometimes too, because people kind of feel like, oh, because you're doing a video for them, they can give you unlimited revisions.
Essentially.
And it's like, I have like deadlines with other things. I can't keep spending time on this one video. Like, you must not understand. It's like, cool, you asked me to change this song. Hey, I don't like this clip. Could you remove this clip and find something to replace it with? And then it's like, I have to now rewatch this footage because I worked on this 3 months ago. I don't remember what this footage looks like. So I have to go back and watch your footage. And you're like, oh, this might work. And then you come back and say, actually, that color looks a little bit weird. You know what I mean? So like
that 3 months comment.
Yeah,
yeah, bro.
It happens. Like it's
it
it happens, and like especially when you're like constantly working on things, you take your time and you work on your projects, and then you move on. So it's like you kind of like forget it. So like for someone to keep on, being on top of you, trying to be like, hey, could you make this revision? It's usually not.
It's deflating, man.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's deflating. I mean, as far as revisions, like the number one thing with revisions is just contracts. Just go ahead and like just document it in a contract. As far as like a lot of people like, and it depends on how you price yourself out. But what I personally do is it's not necessarily a package. Like we consult with the client first and see what exactly that they want and need. But we do put 2 revisions like on there. So essentially that's gonna be like a rough cut and like kind of like the in between, like the final little touches before we send you the final like video. So it's like we have that in there, and then anything extra is going to be an extra compensation, because at that point that's like, because you've already priced out the time that the revisions are gonna take. You've already kind of like made an estimate of that. And that's all that like the contract and the budget is estimates of like the amount of time and the amount of cost of that time.
Facts. Yeah.
And then like, so any extra revision is going to be extra time that was not estimated.
Facts. Yeah.
So then now that's an extra cost. So like that goes down to like, what is your personal, like maybe you're doing an hourly rate. Maybe you want to do a flat rate of like every extra revision is this amount. It comes down to like what you feel personally fits your style and your worth better. We personally do hourly. Well, actually, not really hourly. We do day rates, like So, like, if you want to do like an extra revision and things like that, it's like 9 times out of 10, it's going to take an extra, like, it's going to take extra time for us to go over it and like make sure everything is tip top shape, and there's going to be communication going back and forth with you and whatnot. And it's the amount of time that I'm going to have to take not focusing on other projects that I have to focus on yours. Focusing on like waiting for your email to come back and things like that. Other than like, and editing, like things like that, like extends outside of just me pressing keys and things like that. It's a whole, post-production is a whole thing as far as communication. And we've had post-production cycles that have gone like months outside of like the timeline, not because of us. We've edited like within days, but like people's communication.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you kind of feel like they're wasting your time and things like that. So it's just like, it's a fine line of just like, how do you get compensated for that and whatnot. But definitely I will always say, have a contract, because you can always go back to the contract. Always go back to the contract.
And I'm big on that too. Like, if it's in writing,
you
can't, and you signed it, you did this, you can't negate that. Like, you see what you knew was up beforehand. Like, don't try me.
Yeah.
So that brings up a good point. Like, when did y'all become business? As creatives, we're not taught business. You know what I'm saying? There's a point where I don't want to say every creative gets fucked to a certain point. Like, damn, I should have had that in writing or X, Y, Z. Maybe it does. But like, when was the moment of clarity for y'all when y'all decide, you know what, I definitely need to get more business savvy and step my game up so I don't end up in this situation again?
I'd say like it just comes with like, it's a learning experience because we're still growing. So it's like it comes to a point where you kind of have to like, that you're quote unquote an artist or whatever you want to call yourself, like you're doing a job at the end of the day. So it's like, that cool, this bill is due. you have these things to pay for, so you have to start taking it like, okay, yeah, I'm working on my art, I'm working on these projects, but like I need to take this like seriously and actually get my financials together. You know what I mean? So like you kind of have to like really sit back and be like, cool, this is fun to do, and I enjoy doing this, but I need to see that there's actual like growth in what I'm doing.
Facts.
Like I need to see like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm doing these projects, but like I can't keep doing the same projects for $100. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to like be like, all right, cool, like let me start to price this. I need better equipment. I need this light. I need this lens. How like if I keep getting paid $100 just to do the same, like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you really start to like price it out. You start to price it out and like, okay, cool. Like I'm spending 8 hours or whatever. Like like even me, like I'm new to editing. Like I started editing within the past 2 years. Like so, the amount of time the amount of time that editing takes, like
Preparation.
it's like organizing files, and it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, now I got my files organized. Cool. Now I have to review the footage. You know, like it literally takes so much like time, and like I really feel like editors specifically don't get enough credit for what they do.
Like,
you know what I mean?
At all.
It's because they make the video, they make the marketing, they make the film, they make whatever video. Like it's like editors, they're the directors, honestly. So
facts. Yeah.
it is what it is. So I mean, in being kind of like this, you know, all-in-one videographer, because you're on like the set directing, or you're DPing, you're setting up the lights, and you're gonna go home and you're gonna go edit. Like you're doing all of these jobs for, you know, like you really have to like price yourself for that.
And I agree 100%. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Can you run the question back again? I'm sorry. Like,
So it's just like that moment as a creative when you're like, yo, I need to get more business savvy. I need to set my weight up. And
yeah, I think that's something that everyone kind of comes across to. I work with now my fiance, Jacqueline, and you know, we've been working together for quite some time. You know, she started in high school with me, so we have a great working relationship and whatnot. And essentially, like, our dynamic is that I kind of handle a lot of like the creative, technical side, and she kind of handles a little bit more of like the producing business side. More so when it comes to just straight business decisions, I would say that I kind of like have more of a voice there, but she's kind of like all the contract work and things like that. But we kind of got to that point where it's just like essentially we didn't feel like we made as much money as, you know, we were worth. So it's like you might get a gig and it might be like, let's just say you started off doing $25 an hour. And you're like, $25 an hour as a regular salary, $25 an hour is like, yo, that's fucking amazing.
yeah.
But you know, you might do a shoot for like 4 hours or 5 hours out of the day, but then you might have spent 10 or 13 hours or like whatever amount of hours before the shoot prepping for it and doing these type of things that like took your time, and then you might take X amount of hours to edit it, and the prep for the editing it becomes a weird situation. So it's like you start feeling like you didn't make as much money as you should, and that's when you kind of start locking down and really start saying like, how much time did I exactly spend on this, and how much time was that worth? And then like, how do I like write that down and send that to them? So that's when me and her kind of sat down, and that's when we started writing out budgets. We have budgets like with our letterhead and stuff like that, you know, like, and then it literally lists out like you're getting pre-production, like this type of planning, storyboard, scripting, treatments, like things like that, like the whole production, like rentals, all that stuff. And you know, the whole thing that we have to do is just really show our clients the value that we're providing ourselves. But like that, just not being paid what we were worth, that really was like when we started becoming more business savvy and really negotiating, saying like, and feeling, also the other part is feeling comfortable walking away when you feel like you're not getting fulfilled, you know, whether it's compensation or like it's just not a job that you want to do, just walking away, because there'll be others.
Yeah, I kind of like feel like in layman's terms, it's kind of like sex. Like, if I'm not getting pleasured by this, you know what I'm saying? If it's not, you know what I'm saying, mutual, what's the point? You start thinking, like, you know what I'm saying, when you in it, you start thinking about other stuff. Like, I could have had a cheeseburger at this point and, like, been chilling. And now you're just like, I guess.
I could have been playing video games.
Exactly.
Like,
So,
I figure, you know. Like, Like,
so I kind of think it's like you want to make sure like if we're going into it, like we're both gonna be secured and can be, you know what I'm saying, properly taken care of in the situation.
For sure.
But back to your like creative journey, in terms of like, you know, you say being willing to do what other people weren't willing to do. Your journey with becoming a grip, like how was that for you? Like you went, you know what I'm saying, working with your homies, then working on Turner. How did that come about?
So I again like just major blessings. Like right after college, like I'm one of the few people probably in the U.S. that was able to find a like position in a place, you know, where they wanted to be at. Like, you know, and I didn't do anything, guys. I don't know. Like people ask me questions. I didn't do anything, but I literally applied to Turner. Like I want to say I graduated that August. Like I've completed all my courses that August, and I applied like the next week. And I got a call back like at the end of August, and then like it was a whole weird situation of even how I got in there because I didn't originally get the position I interviewed for, but they brought me back on as a temp.
Okay.
And I took the position, and it was essentially like you're in this place now, and you know, what are you gonna do with it? But just having conversations with people, man. Like I was having conversations with this guy randomly in the break room. He was like, "What do you do?" I was like, "I do like productions on the side." He was like, "What are your interests?" I was like, "Well," and it's funny because this actually ties back to Kevon. We were working on his short film Limits, and one of the thought process, we knew nobody knew lighting.
Yeah.
You know, we knew that. So essentially, when I was speaking to anyone, I'm like, I'm trying to learn lighting. That's it. Like I need to learn lighting. So I told that to this guy, and shout out to him, Mario Rouse, amazing dude. Like one of my mentors. Like he held it down for me, but he introduced me to another amazing guy, Thomas Branch, who was a lighting director at Turner Studios. And I spoke to Thomas. Like Thomas said, "Come down here whenever you want, man. Observe." And that's what I did. Like whenever I had free time, I would come down, I would observe, I would ask questions. I'm like, "Hey, like, why did you choose this light? Why did you do this? What are you doing here?" And Thomas was always willing. And literally one day I was observing, and Thomas just like looked at me, and he was just like, "So when are you gonna come work down here?" And me being a temp up there, and like my contract was running, I was like, "Shit." Like, when do you need me, bro?
Yeah,
like, and he was just like, and again, major blessings, God willing, like his boss happened to walk in.
Oh wow.
And Thomas, like, following through, was just like, "Hey, this is Jason. Jason's been observing me and like whatnot. Like, you know, let's get him a training day." And I had one training day, and I think it was kind of like a test day or whatnot. And then I ended up not working again for like, I'd say like almost 2 years.
Sheesh.
But what I did though was I would like hit Thomas up every now and then because my badge was still like, I still had the badge. I can go on campus whenever I felt like it. So I would hit Thomas up and I'd be like, "Yo, what do you have going on? I'm doing this production." I would go and observe.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of stay in his ear like, "Yo, when can I get down here? When can I get down here?" And one time, like in 2019, like 2 years later, I had texted him. It was funny. Me and Kevin were driving one morning, and we were talking about like electricians, grips, and things like that. And then like,
on the way to the meeting.
Yeah, it was on the way to the meeting.
Yeah.
And Kevin was like, "Yo, like they really be making bank." And I said, "Yo, bro," like I was telling him, I'm like, the one day that I worked, I made a pretty great day rate. That was my first experience with a day rate. And something about that conversation just like knocked something into me, and I like sent Thomas a message, and I was just like, "Yo, like I really like, what do you got going on?" And when I went and met him this time, I kind of like laid everything out. I'm like, "I'm really trying to get down here. Like I really just like, I really been wanting to work here. I've been like observing for 2 years." And I got, next thing I know, I'm working like 6 days a week training and like getting stuff done. And consistently just trying to learn, man. And it's been a topsy-turvy, like it's been like a harsh learning curve, I would say. Like you're thrown to the wolves. But you start picking up things. You know, you start picking up, and you one thing about me, man, like as far as like I feel like a situation can be screwed up, I'm always gonna like, if somebody's criticizing me, I'm always gonna listen to it, and I'm always gonna try and better myself. And it took a long time. It took me about like even a year to feel slightly comfortable. I'm not even fully comfortable. You know, I'm still not fully comfortable. But you know, as I've done more productions and I've tried different things, like I'm getting better. I'm learning more. Certain things that I can know like the back of my hand. Certain things I still need to, of course, tighten up. that's essentially been my journey. Like, it's just like random conversation and blessings after blessings, man. Like,
and that's what I mean by staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Because like, had you not taken that initiative of like, you know what I'm saying, 2 years, that's an investment of your time and like, yo, I really want this. And most people, you know what I'm saying, after a few days, they're like, nah, fuck this, I'm out.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But again, like, just having that willingness to learn and do more. Like, I feel like being creative in today's age is different because we have technology. There's such a technical aspect to what we do as a creative. Like, if you're not knowledgeable of that, that can really cost you a job or even limit your creativity. So, like, how do you stay on top of that, especially in today's age? You know, you buy a camera today, it might be outdated tomorrow. Or you learn DaVinci Resolve and there's another coloring app or there's something that's out like that. So how do you personally stay disciplined with that, and like how do you work forward towards that?
That's a great question. I feel like you just have to like just hone in on what you're able to work on for the moment, really, because you can't do everything.
Facts.
You have to like, because the thing is like, in a world where like there's so many things to do, like you have to always remember that like you still have to stay focused on what you're trying to like whatever you set out for yourself. Honestly, because it's like there will be a better camera tomorrow, but it's like, but at the end of the day, like how well do you know that camera?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like it depends on like, because we've all been in a situation where you have like a friend that'll be like, man, I can take pictures. Like, I mean, I can do videos. And you give them the camera and it's like, what is this? You know what I mean?
They're
like,
limited by their technical knowledge.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, because I've been running with this camera for 3 years, but you just picked up this camera thinking that you just press record. You know what I mean? I legitimately, actually, I went on a gig the other day. I noticed that another dude was using a Blackmagic 6K, and I was using a 4K. And I went on Instagram a few days ago, and I saw the footage that he had posted. I think my footage looks better. You know what I mean? Because like he said, he said that he just got the camera too. So it's like, okay, I can tell it's like your ISO wasn't set right. I can tell that like, okay, cool, this wasn't really in focus. Like it's like there's certain things that was like I've been using the camera for 2 years, like continuously. So it's like I see like, okay, cool, like the amount of time that you spend with this one thing, like you're gonna learn it like the back of your hand, just like and that's the most important thing. So it's like, yeah, you can kind of think about, okay, what else can I be doing, but just make sure that you're still focused on like what exactly is right in front of you at the moment.
Yeah, 100
for sure.
So,
hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Shoot or Shoot. We hope that you enjoyed part 1 with the interview of Jason Simmonds. Stick around for next week for part 2. We look forward to giving you more exclusive interviews. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Instagram at NDAF_media. Thank you.